Okay, well, the Jaguars had a great year. I think that's kind of
I disagree.
why so.
Not actually.
Yeah, they went 13-4, hosted that first round playoff game. Unfortunately, lost to Josh Allen,
It happens, man.
and it's kind of sucks because it feels like they were one of the best teams in football, and they should feel that way. But they got a tough first round matchup, and it didn't go their way. They were 11th in offensive yards per game and 11th in offensive, or in terms of defensive yards per game allowed. Then they were 6th in points per game and 8th in points per game allowed. So this was a team that was nearly top 10 in both yards per game and points per game offensively and defensively. So they were one of the best teams in football this year. They're at a kind of a tipping point when they lose a game to Davis Mills, who comes in for C.J. Stroud, and they're 5-4. And then they rattle off 8 wins in a row before losing that first-round playoff game. For my MVP this year, I went with the guy who was literally voted for MVP in Trevor Lawrence, a 4,000-yard passer. He finished 5th in MVP voting, and he ran for 9 touchdowns with 5 game-winning drives this year. I felt like he had a really incredible year, and a year where his wide receiver group and even his running back group was kind of in a flux all throughout the year. You remember they trade the first-round pick to get Travis Hunter. Oh, is he going to be a weapon offensively? You have Brian Thomas, who had an excellent rookie year and then isn't good this year. You trade for Jacoby Myers middle of the year to give yourself another weapon. You have Brenton Strange there, who has a issue year, and Travis Etienne reemerges. Oh, and Parker Washington is your leading receiver, which, speaking of, he was my unsung hero. No one really knew who Parker Washington was before this year.
Yeah.
And he is their leading receiver, nearly 1,000-yard receiver, dynamic returner, multiple returning touchdowns this year. The other one would have been Devin Lloyd, who was a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro linebacker for them. A defense that they brought back a ton of the pieces from last year and then really statistically improved, and Devin Lloyd was one of those pieces. His most famous play being his 97-yard pick six against Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football earlier this year, which was cinema. I don't know how he wasn't caught, because once he got to like the 45-yard line, he was running. I wouldn't even classify it as running. He was kind of like jogging.
And obviously I couldn't have because he made it. But like I feel like I could have caught him.
Yeah.
Like if I was 5 yards behind him,
Yeah.
like, because you are right, he was gassed for like the last
I say
half of that.
this with the reality that I may have done this, but having a first-round pick as your unknown MVP is wild.
Well, he wasn't his official one.
Oh yeah, but we can give him the shout, and I've probably done it, which is why I apologize beforehand. I do believe that I have had a first-round pick.
I mean, I definitely have.
But no, he definitely does deserve it. It was just funny to me. Be like, oh yeah, this former first-round pick, he's my unknown, my sleeper, sleeper MVP. But do continue. That's just funny.
Whatever you say, Colts fan. But Parker Washington, outside of him, did you guys have someone? Parker Washington was the official one. I just wanted to mention Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, no, I'm good with Parker Washington. He was a huge riser and a crucial one, considering the regression of Brian Thomas, the fact that the Travis Hunter thing didn't really work out how they wanted to year one. We were a little higher, or at least I was, on De'Ami Brown coming in free agency from Washington. He didn't really do anything. And so stepped in Parker Washington to fill the void. So I feel like he really deserves it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Jacksonville this year, they will play in Jacksonville still this year, but the following season they will be moving to Orlando so they can renovate the new stadium. So this is the final year of them playing in Jacksonville until that stadium is renovated. So Duval will have to get hyped for this year. The coaching changes, they did not get either their coordinators poached this offseason, which was kind of a concern. Grant Udinsky, their offensive coordinator, interviewed for some head coaching positions. The only move they made is they moved on from their secondary coach, Ron Milas, and appointed a guy by the name of Matthew. And his name is spelled like Tyrann Mathieu, is how he spells his first name.
That's cool.
They appointed him as their new secondary coach. The Jaguars have no first-round pick. As I mentioned, they traded it for Travis Hunter last year. Their first pick is the latest first pick of any team in the NFL at 56th. That will be the first time that they come up and are on the clock unless they decide to trade up at some point. So it felt like it was kind of really hard to do a preview for them because who's available there at 56, who really kind of knows.
It's impossible.
For in terms of what they would need, like they need safety help. That's kind of inarguable. Andrew Wingard is a safety for them who's going to be a free agent. They don't expect to re-sign him. And so, maybe Caleb Downs falls to 56, joking, of course. But you have a pass rusher that you'd love to put next to Josh Hines Allen, because Trayvon Walker, former number 1 overall pick, really didn't have the year this year that you expected coming off a year 2 years ago that was actually pretty solid. The other one is...
I expected it.
Hater.
PFF saw it coming.
Colts fan.
PFF saw it coming. They said high sack with a low pass rush win rate is not a good combination.
Yeah, big-time Colts fan.
I was a big-time Colts fan for 10 years.
Interior offensive line would have been the last one. But they, obviously picking at 56, you don't expect much to fall at that point, so who really kind of knows where they'll be going. So I didn't really do any mock picks because I'm not even sure who's going to be there. I think this board will move around a ton because we haven't even had the NFL Combine or a single pro day yet. So for their cap space and contract decisions, they're in the negative. They have negative cap space at negative $11 million. Devin Lloyd, who I mentioned, is a key defensive piece who's going to be a free agent. Travis Etienne is a free agent. Greg Newsome, who they traded for mid-season with a trade with Tyson Campbell, who they traded to Cleveland for Greg, is also a free agent. It feels like Devin Lloyd is going to be franchise tagged, which would put him at around $20 million. They already signed Cole Van Lanen to a 3-year, $51 million deal. He is their left tackle of the future. 2 years ago, they signed Walker Little, a former first-round pick, for them to a big extension. They also had Cam Robinson in the building. It doesn't feel like Walker Little is going to start for them anymore. And Cam Robinson, of course, he's been out of the building for a little bit. Cole Van Lanen will be their left tackle of the future with Trevor Lawrence. This is a team that also is going to need cap maneuvering because of that cap space. And I wonder how they're going to manage guys like Travis Etienne or even potentially Devin Lloyd or a Greg Newsome at corner. Because, I don't know, maybe you could argue with the way Bayshaw Tootin played in the playoff game, maybe he scored a touchdown, so maybe he's ready to play running back for them. But do you depart from, Trevor Lawrence's college buddy and Travis Etienne, who had an excellent season last year? I don't know. The free agency is going to be kind of tough for them. For a team that kind of rose above expectations this year in year one, Lee and Cohen, they don't really have the capital to build on it. So they're going to have to somehow find a way to sustain and then on top of that get the impact that they were expecting from guys that underperformed on an overperforming team. Guys like Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, who were big draft capital invested in both of those players and both had down years. Travis Hunter was injured, but also
wasn't great before he was injured.
Yeah, didn't perform to the level that you would expect for the former Heisman Trophy winner. So I say all that to say maybe a little bit of a doomy and gloomy kind of offseason for Jacksonville, and it's going to be a quiet one, I fully expect, except for the Devin Lloyd franchise tag conversation. And they may end up losing some guys. Like, I do think they probably have to let Travis Etienne walk to some degree, which they're not going to like with the year that he just had. But you can find running backs really kind of anywhere. With Lee and Cohen and his success in Tampa Bay with,
randos.
Or not necessarily randos, but
did he
Sean
make
Tucker
them?
and Rashad White.
Sean Tucker is not a rando. Legend of the Twitter verse.
Agreed. So I do think you can find performance from other guys, not just Travis Etienne, although you'd love to bring him back. What say you guys in terms of their offseason? I feel like I kind of...
You tied it up pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just retouch on the Travis Etienne thing because I agree. I don't think they're going to be able to bring him back. which on the one hand is tough. I mean, he just came off an 1,100-yard season on the ground. 7 touchdowns, pretty solid. But just talking about positional value, it really is easy to 4th round. Mike Washington from Arkansas, 5th round. Jamari Taylor from Virginia, with Bashal Tutton, who has flashed this year, and I'm not expecting Bashal to be like this.
Saquon Barkley.
Correct, but someone that can give you legitimate oomph from the backfield, and you're not just giving him carries because you have to give someone carries because you genuinely like handing the ball off to him. I think he may just have to be a casualty of the tough cap situation, him being Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, looking into next year, early realistic goal for me is going to be find consistency in back-to-back seasons. This is a franchise that over the last, or I guess you could just say over the Trevor Lawrence tenure, has been up and down, very much so. Where first year they're 3-14 and are back at picking at number 1. The next year they win the division, win a playoff game. They're 9-8, and they do that on the coattails of a dynamic run down the end of the season. The following year, Trevor Lawrence year 3. They start the year, I think it was 8-3, and then finish 1-5, miss the postseason. Trevor Lawrence gets hurt towards the end of the year. Last year, Trevor was hurt, and they were 4-13. And then this year, they're flip the wins and losses. They go from 4-13 to 13-4 in year 1 of Liam Cohen. So find consistency in this franchise, because with the year they just had, where they were again, like I said, top 10 defense and offense in both points per game and yards per game categories, if they can just find a way to be consistent in-house, I do think that this is a team that can be right there in terms of winning the division again. But I won't say that they should try to go win the division. I think they should try to be consistent throughout the course of an entire season and not just kind of hot and cold. Because you could even say with this year, they started 5-4 and then won 8 games in a row. I wish they could. I would more so like to see, as a Trevor Lawrence fan, as a Clemson Tiger fan, them go 2-1 and then 2-1 and then 2-1 and 2-1 throughout the year, not just these hot and cold. Well, it's nice to peak at the end of the year. I'd rather not be in a position where I'm questioning whether or not we're making the postseason, where we start 0-3 like Houston Texans did, and then we rattle off all these wins.
Yeah.
I don't want to be put in those kinds of situations, because it could get ugly in-house, and a culture can very easily unravel. When I say consistent, I'm not asking them to go 13-4, but I do feel like don't have a regression to the mean where you won 4 games, won 13, and now you just win 8 or 9. Try to win
Hit
11.
double digit again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fine with that, because realistically, if you're going to maintain consistency, you're going to win a good chunk of games, and so it's a solid goal.